Choosing where your child will go to school is an important decision all parents must make, but a new report shows Illinois parents may not have the resources to make an informed decision or afford it.
23 News reporter Marta Berglund uncovers the reason behind the state's failing grade and what parents can do to make the right choice for their children.
So you're not surprised Illinois got an F in school choice, a grade F.
I'm not surprised.
Megan Granados is a teacher at Spectrum Progressive School in Rockford. She's also a parent of 4. One of her kids goes to Spectrum, but the others attend schools in District 205.
There are a lot of great options and opportunities here in Rockford, but I think part of it is knowing your child and finding a school that kind of meets that.
Despite dozens of public and private school options in Rockford, Illinois recently ranked 39th in the country for school choice policies, receiving a failing grade. The report came from the American Legislative Exchange Council. Granados says it comes down to familiarity and financial access.
As a parent with kids in private school, I'm not aware of what the options are.
Mary Beth Cunat is Spectrum's principal. After teaching in the Chicago public school system and private schools, she knows why a parent's ability to choose their child's education is vital.
Every parent knows their children best, and they know in what kind of environment is my child going to be able to not just survive, but thrive.
But she says it's up to schools, the state, and parents to communicate about those options.
And if it comes down to where my child I really want this school for my child, but I don't have the funding, then it's on the school to kind of figure out, can we make this work?
Working for you in Rockford, Marta Berglund, 23 News.
In addition to the poor ranking, Illinois' Investing Kids Act, which allows parents to apply for school choice scholarships, is set to expire at the end of the year if it's not reauthorized by state lawmakers.